Alright, so in this video we're going to look at the formulas that come from Chapter 4. And specifically, we're going to be looking at this formula here. And we're going to talk about this. This formula is used for home loans, credit card payments, student loans, in order to find the payment that should be made. So let's write that formula down. So you find that formula on the formula sheet. It comes from section 4D. And so I'm going to copy that formula to my paper here. And we'll discuss each of these variables. So we have PMT. PMT means the payment. So typically a monthly payment, but it can vary depending on the problem. P here stands for the principal. So the initial loan, the what amount. So this is called the principal. Then we have APR, and we have that in two spots. That's the annual percentage rate. So I'm going to call it the rate. And you find that by looking for the percent sign in the word problem. But you're going to write it in decimal form. Then we have N, and we have N actually in three places. The N stands for the number of payments per year. And then last, so if it's monthly payments, you're going to say N equals 12. And that's what typically these problems are for our book for chapter 4D. And then last we have Y, and this is the number of years. It's the term. So, and we say number of years. All right, so now that we broke that down, we're going to look at how to use this formula. So, if the problem said you have a $7,500 student loan at 12% interest and for 6 years, find the monthly payment. Then what we would do is our principal, or our P, would be the 7,500, that the amount of the original amount of the loan. The APR would be the percentage, the rate. So this right here, 12%, that's the interest rate that you're going to pay for borrowing the money. That's going to go in place here, but I'm not going to write 12%. I'm going to change it to decimal form. And so I drop the percent sign and I move the decimal 2 places to the left. Then I've got the number of years, and that is 6, and that's going to go here. And then I have the number of payments. If we want monthly payments, that means my N is 12, like I mentioned, because it's the number of payments per year. So I will put 12 in that place. So let's plug all of those in. And I like to typically what I do is I will make a list of the variables off to the side on my paper. And so I've got payment, I've got principal, I've got APR, I've got N, and I've got Y. So we had 6 years, we had an N of 12, we have an APR of 12%, 4.12, principal is 7,500, and what am I looking for? I'm looking for the monthly payment. So let's plug this in. So we're going to put in 7,500. We'll put in the annual percentage rate divided by the number of payments per year, or 12. And I'm going to say 1 minus 1 plus the APR divided by 12, and then raise that to the negative N times Y. And so this is my formula with plugged in everything. So now I'm going to grab my calculator. And so since we have the TI 8384, we have this big screen where we can put all of this in one step. Now, you can break it into pieces, but I would recommend putting it all in one step. So let's first do it all in one step, and I'm going to show you how to do it. What you should do is keep all the parentheses that you see here, you should put them all in here. And then I will also show you how to do it in pieces. So if you have a preference of doing it that way, you can. So we will do it all in one step and say a 7,500. So I'm going to put my numerator in. It's very important that when you're putting this in, that you take a look back at what you've entered. So when I'm done with the numerator, I'm going to look back and make sure that I have entered everything that I have on my paper. Because if I miss anything, if I miss this decimal point, if I miss a digit, it's going to throw my answer off. So if I accidentally put in 750 versus 7,500, that's going to make a big difference. So my numerator, same as here, I'm good to go. Then I'm going to hit divide by, and I'm going to put all of the, I see parentheses and bracket here. I'm going to put all of that in there. So, but I'm just going to use a parenthesis for the bracket. I don't have to use a bracket on this calculator. 1 minus 1 plus. And notice I put that parenthesis. And again, always taking a look back to make sure if I entered it correctly. Now this 0 that's in front is not necessary to put in. So that is optional. You could do either way. So I'm putting my parenthesis and then caret symbol. Now this calculator superscripts the exponent. So, and my students have a range of calculators, so I will typically put the parenthesis in here because some calculators you have to put them in and some you don't. If it superscripts it, you don't have to put the parenthesis in. And I'll show you the other model of this calculator. You do have to put the parenthesis in if it shows that caret symbol. So, but on this one, I don't have to, but like I said, but what's important here is that if you see your cursor, it's flashing up in the top. So in order to get back to the regular line to put that last parenthesis, you have to right arrow over. And so now take a look back, make sure that you've entered what you have there, and then hit enter and you'll get your answer. So for a $7,500 loan for paying 12% interest for 6 years, you're going to have to make monthly payments of this amount. And so let's write that number on our paper. And always ask yourself, does it make sense that I'm going to be paying this amount? You know, is this reasonable? If the amount you get is like in pennies, if you get an amount that's more than the principal, something might be wrong. So always kind of ask yourself, does it make sense? So we want to round, whenever we're talking about money, we want to round to the 100th place. So I'm going to look one over, and because this number is 5 or more, I'm going to round that number with the arrow up one. So this will be the monthly payment. Now, let me put it in the other mode, and I will show you how it looks when you use the exponent. So just looking at this exponent part. So and I'm just, well, let me just put it all in there so you can see the difference. So now when I hit the caret symbol, notice how it puts just a caret symbol. And then I have to put those parentheses. If I don't put the parentheses, the answer will be incorrect because it will only raise it to the -12 power and then multiply that answer by 6. So now when I hit enter, you'll see I get the same thing. Now, if you want to, you can break it down into the numerator and the denominator. So you can take the 7,500 and multiply it by the 0.12, divide by 12. And actually for this, it wouldn't make a difference if you put the parentheses or not. But since I was saying to always put the parentheses, I will. So that would be my numerator. So let's write that. So you can do it piece by piece, and you can say this would be 7,500. Now, the denominator, I'm going to say, again, follow the parentheses. And again, I'm going to emphasize, always look back and make sure that what you typed matches what's on your paper. And when I hit enter, I get this number. And then I would not round this to the very end. So I would keep this out to what you see on the screen, and then at the very end round. So what I mean is, don't just type, oh, this is close to 0.5, so I'm just going to type 0.5, because if you hit enter here, you're going to see that your answer will be quite different. But if you do 75, and then instead of retyping all of this, there's a button on the calculator. You see at the bottom, it says above the negative sign, it says ANS. So you can pull down the previous answer by hitting second and then the negative sign. And then you don't have to retype that. And so there I get the same answer, 146.63. So that part that you saw with the superscript, that's called an exponent. And so if you I'm just making up a problem here. If you see 2 with that superscript, this superscript tells you how many times to multiply by the 2 by itself. So this 2 to the 4th is the same as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So you multiply it by itself 4 times and you would get 16. That's what that superscript means.